Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another YouTube video. And this one, I wanted to talk about how to build an actual life. Like, it sounds like a kind of a cheap thing. It sounds like kind of just like a whatever video. But what's interesting is that, entrepreneur culture is really, really obsessed with becoming the best you can possibly be, but mostly just in business. So I really want to talk about how to actually build a freaking life. Like how to build a life around your business. And this is something that I have not seen anybody talk about. And it's something that I also cover extensively in the 6-figure marketing consultant course. And this is why I'm making a video on this, because I'm actually recording some of the modules today for that. Because what I've noticed is that if all you do is work on your business and you become like a social isolate and you kind of you don't have any reason to succeed in business other than your own desire to succeed, you're ultimately going to fail. And that's what I've seen happen for a lot of people, because they slow way down because they just get overwhelmed and it just becomes too much. And they don't really have a core underlying motivation in a life outside of what they do. Now, before we get into this video, I want to talk about one thing. If you're interested in getting my help on growing your agency, building that sort of a entrepreneurial life, and making sure that you master these things, I want you to schedule a call and see if you're qualified for the 6-figure marketing consultant program. So, we actually turn away people. So I'm not just gonna take your money. So, that's what makes me different than a lot of these people, is I'll say no a lot. So I really just wanna see if you're in a good place for it. And if you are, that means you're a perfect fit and it's going to help you grow. I'll make you an offer and we'll get you into the course on the call, okay? So go ahead and schedule a call and let's talk about that. So, how to build an actual life around your business. So this is an interesting topic because I think most people, what they assume is that if you succeed in business, then everything else kind of just lines up. And that's kind of what I thought too. I kind of thought as I succeeded in business, the other areas of my life would get easier. And that's just not true. It's just not true at all. It's actually a lot more to it. So some of the specifics that I dealt with, and I'll just set up my phone here so I don't have to hold it for the rest of this video. Some of the specifics that I dealt with are: 1, finding friends who are at my level of thinking. 2, it's dealing with these existing relationships in your life that take a massive shift after you succeed, and how you sort of deal with those people, particularly family or close friends or loved ones that you kind of have to navigate the relationship with. And 3, it's managing your time and optimizing sort of how you spend your time so you get the most out of life and you get the most out of your business. So let's get into it. And I want to talk about the first one, which is finding people at your level. And this is a really important thing. So as some of you know, I grew up as a huge gamer. I used to play a ton of video games. I was a Twitch streamer. I did charity streams and everything. I raised $1,000 at one point for charity water. I did all this stuff and it was a lot of fun. I played Minecraft, Call of Duty, all these games, CSGO, Team Fortress. I don't know if any of these names ring a bell. For a lot of you, you'll just think I'm a nerd. That's totally cool. Actually, let me pick you up. I'm gonna grab my coffee. I just made a latte this morning. And at that time, I felt more connected to a community than I'd ever felt, because it was something in common with a bunch of people and we could all kind of do the same thing. And, leaving that was really hard because I had a lot of validation. And I was at the top of kind of a hierarchy too. And so I got a recognition and validation that I craved, right? But now, the only real people who see what I've built for what it is are other entrepreneurs. If you're not an entrepreneur, you don't run a business, then all you really see is some punk kid in a nice apartment. And I've had to adapt to that, right? So how do you find people at your level when you're succeeding? How do you find people at your level when you're just starting that will help you succeed? And how do you make those relationships actually valuable? Because to find them is one thing, but to actually make them valuable is a whole other thing. So when it comes to finding them, your network is a big deal. A lot of my best friends are actually previous students that I've worked with. These are people who have risen up done very well with my material, and now, I kind of partner with them. Even though we don't share revenue or anything, we don't actually have any projects together, I have good friends from my coaching program, and now I've scaled back the coaching program to focus on the online course. But you can see that those are people who are on a very similar wavelength to me, and I just kind of bring them in. So my advice is have an offer that can allow you to make friends. What's interesting is when you have an offer that not only impacts people's lives, sells really well, is very profitable for you, but also makes you friends, those are people who are on your wavelength, and they are valuable. Just because you've done business with them doesn't mean they're not genuinely a good person for you to have in your life. I think people tend to separate business and personal life. So, the premise of this video is kind of even a broken one. How to build a life outside of your business. And I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to build a separate thing outside of your business. They're one thing. You need to value the people in your network the same way that you would value people who you've grown up with in your normal personal life. And it's a choice that you make, how much you value these people. So really actively choose to value them. Because if you don't do that, you are going to be very lonely. Guarantee it. You're going to have a lot of money and just be lonely. And that's what happens. We see it all the time, in movies and in real life too. It's very sad because people don't know how to manage these two forces. So choose to value the people who you do business with, okay? So that's how I find the people. I really honestly just do a lot of business. I make a lot of offers. Even the people who say no to my offers, I still follow up with them and make connections. And the reason I brought up video games earlier is because I was gonna make a separate point, which is that I still play video games primarily for social reasons. So if you play video games and you've thought, I need to pull back on video games because it's a waste of time, forget that for a sec. Turn these hobbies, whether it's video games or it's skateboarding or it's whatever hobby it was that you had, use that hobby as a means to connect with these people in business. So I'll play Call of Duty with my buddy Quasi Joe here, who's at 150 grand profit a month. David Trey, leading sales guy at a company that I really, really like, right? Consulting.com, if anybody's familiar. Let's see, who else would I play with? John Danes, who's a real estate agent, entrepreneur, or real estate agency, marketing agency. He does 30, 40 grand a month in profit. So these people, I just hang out with them casually. We don't talk business. We just hang out. We're not talking shop. And what happens is you begin to know who these people actually are. And that's what you want. And now, coming soon, I've got Bastian Slot, who's one of my top students, Johnny Vo, who's one of my top students, their girlfriends and my girlfriend, they're both coming to Indiana where I live, and we're gonna go on a triple date and hang out for a weekend, right? It's gonna be really good. And that happens when you choose to value these people on the same level in which you value personal. So don't think that business and life are this separate thing. That's what halted me for a long time. I was now I gotta go do business stuff and be lonely for a month. That's what I used to feel like. But it's because I wasn't actively choosing to value the people in my network. So that's the first thing. That's how you find them, and that's how you make the relationships valuable. Find them by doing business, growing your network naturally. Choose very intentionally to value these people. How do you choose to value these people? Well, you basically make a creed with yourself that you're going to selflessly help them in whatever it is that they need. Of course, with boundaries. You're not just going to devote your entire time to their business or their life or whatever. But if they need help, say, hey, can I call you? I'll help you with that. These are people who basically you reserve your personal aid for. And they reserve their personal aid for you as well. That's a kind of a business friend. That's somebody who becomes a real friend. And somebody who becomes a real partner in life, right? And then there's the topic of, that's how to find friends. It's how to keep them. And then managing your time. And this also, this brings into conversation to me an important element, which is dating, relationships, which I actually have a girlfriend right now. Things are going really well with her. And I've been able to manage business and working long days and also having a girlfriend. And I'll talk about that. So if you're a young guy, my advice is mostly going to apply to you, but I believe if there's a young woman watching, no matter what age or gender you are, I think this advice will apply, but of course I'm a young guy, 20 years old, so mostly my advice applies to young men because that's my experience. So Time management, have start and end times to your workday, man. If you aren't starting and ending your days at the same time, or at least similar times every day, you are screwing yourself up. Because what happens is, and this is something I teach in the program, once again, the 6-figure marketing consultant program, because I don't just help you build a business, I help you build like a life that lets you sustain the business, which is a really important thing. And that's how I've gotten to, 30, 40 grand a month, right? That's how, I scaled past that multiple 6-figure level and got to like multiple 5 figures monthly, is by building a life that optimizes for these things. And it took a long time. It took me like 2.5, maybe 3 years to really nail this stuff. So hopefully this is resonating with you. Hopefully this video is helpful for you. So time management, start and end your days at the same time. Because when you work all day, when you give yourself permission to work all day, you give yourself permission to do things that just don't matter in your business. When you give yourself permission to hang out with people any time of the day, whenever, you give yourself permission to do things with them that don't matter. So my business hours, like for myself personally, it's kind of like 9 a.m. to about 5 p.m. Maybe 4:30 some days, maybe about 10 a.m. So that's kind of like, there's like an hour window, like 9 to 10 is about when I start, 4 to 5 is about when I end, every day. After 5, and you can ask my girlfriend, I'm available for anything. My family, I've got 4 siblings, my mother, my father, if they need anything, I'll swing home. I'm 20 minutes from, where I grew up, so I can just go home if I need to. I also don't work Sundays because I apply this rule to my week as well. I don't just apply this rule to my days where I start and end my work, to my week as well. I start my work Monday morning, I end it Saturday evening. Sunday I rest. And if you're a Christian or you follow Hebrew wisdom, Jewish wisdom, it's called the Sabbath. It's this really important concept that if you don't follow it and you're not taking a break, dude, you are sabotaging yourself. Like even Israel, like they take 1 out of every 7 years off from planting crops, because the soil actually, there's so many benefits in doing that. And it allows their crops to be some of the biggest and best crops. Now, I'm not like any sort of a loyalty to Israel kind of thing, but it's just an interesting thing to think about. 1 out of 7. So 1 out of 7 days, 1 out of 7 hours, you look at my work day, it's about 7 hours, 1 out of every 7 years. I think even for some cultures, 1 out of every 7 months, they rest. I believe too, 1 out of every 7 years, not only do they not plant crops, but they also like rest the entire year, and they kind of consume a little bit more instead of producing so much. So that's what you do on Sundays. You consume a little bit and you hang out with friends. Like for me, I went to my girlfriend, they have a farm. I shot some guns. This is pretty much what I do every Sunday now. I go with them to the farm, or I go home to my family, hang out with my sister, and we'll like play video games or something. Like I'm out of work brain mode. That's what you have to, you have to do that. If you're not doing that, you're obsessed. I'll be honest. You're obsessed, and your business has tamed you, and you're not taming your business. Because it's the thing, you gotta understand that there's a master role here, and there's a submissive role here. And if you're not playing the master role, you're playing the submissive role. And if you're not master of your business, it's master over you. And so if you say, I'm going to give you all my time, and all my energy, and all my thoughts, and all my money, and it's going to own you. And that's what I've seen too. You look at some of the best entrepreneurs, for example, Bill Gates. I think it's he takes a lot of time off. He reads a lot. And I don't know what documentary I saw this in, but I think it's anywhere from 5 to 8 days out of the month, he's not doing anything. One of my buddies, Quasi, actually, who I told you I play video games with, he's $150,000 a month in profit, and he takes a whole week off every month. So it's just he's not submitted to his business. He's made his business submit to him. Because when you give your business everything you have, it wants more. Until you cap it, until you say, this is what you get, and you're not gonna get any more, it's just gonna keep asking and asking and asking. That's how everything goes in your life. Same with friends. And so that goes now to relationships and my girlfriend. So with my girlfriend, she's well aware that if my career starts to falter, directly because of how much time I'm spending with her, we scale back how much time I'm spending. And if we scale it back still and things aren't working out and I'm still slowing down in business and things aren't going that well, I've preemptively helped, we've agreed that that's means to end the relationship, and that's totally fair for both of us. We're both on the same wavelength there. My career comes first, and so does her. She's a fairly ambitious person as well, right? She's got all kinds of, she wants to go and get her PhD like in art history. Actually, it's funny, I actually talked her out of college, but that's a whole other thing. Actually, I'm going to do an interview with her soon on this channel, which I think is going to be really cool. So that's how you balance that. So again, you devote a certain amount of time to these things. So like, and then lastly, like with your loved ones, to keep them involved, like give them little roles. Like, you know, my mom helped me decorate my apartment. You know, she's got like a cool taste. She like got this place really, really looking good. And obviously my girlfriend, her name's Lily, helped me as well. So I'll actually show you around a little bit. And what they did is I gave them a role. Like I said, hey, you know, you're really good at this. Can you help me make this place home? And that's what they did. They helped me like make this place like an actual home and not just some industrial like pad in some apartment building, right? And that's a really important role because it's allowed me to work better and it's allowed me to think better, think clearer. And it's just given me a place where I can like relax and also work and enjoy life. And then like my girlfriend, she's a barista right now, right? She works at a little coffee shop, which I think is really cool. And she like, I had her show me how to make coffee. So I got an espresso machine and she showed me how to do that. So you just like include people and let them play roles in your life. Don't be afraid to give important roles to people. That was something I was afraid of for a long time. I wanted control. And I felt like if I did stuff myself, it was more guaranteed to get done well. And that's just a lie you're telling yourself because you're afraid of others making mistakes. But the ratio at which others make mistakes and that you make mistakes are the same. You gotta understand that. Like humans, we're about the same. Like, you know, we have different specialties, but we're about the same. Like how often somebody else will make a mistake with something you give them, and how often you'll make a mistake with something that you do is very similar. So get help from these people, and that helps you develop these relationships, you know? And then kind of a last point that I want to talk about is like humility. And this is something I just, gosh, dude, the entrepreneur space sucks at this. Like it's filled with like super overly arrogant like jerks. And I have stronger words than jerk, but I don't swear much. And so like you have just so many people just up their own butt, man. So what you have to do is understand. This is a simple idea, and I learned this actually from one of my mentors. He's a rabbi. His name's Daniel Lapin. I've actually got an interview coming soon with him on the channel, which I recorded a while ago, but haven't had the time to upload it. And it has a lot to do with the reason why like Christians pray before meals, which is an interesting thing. So like, what does humility and that have to do with each other? So like, obviously, if it's not clear by now, I'm a Christian, but these principles apply like across the board. So if you are about to eat, you pray according to Hebrew culture because it recognizes the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who played a role in putting that meal before you. And you're gonna think, well, what do you mean? Like I just ordered it from DoorDash, or like I made it myself. Like I actually made the food myself. Well, think about history. Think about the lineage that goes into this thing. Think about, let's talk about one thing. Let's talk about the plates that you're eating off of. Let's assume they're clay plates. There was somebody who discovered clay. There was somebody who discovered that you can mold it. And then there's somebody who at some point discovered plates, keeping your food elevated off the ground, and they innovated on that. And somebody also figured out that you can cook clay and turn it into, and hold it like this right here, right? And then somebody figured out how to industrialize that process. And it's not just one somebody. This is like groups of somebodies. These are like hundreds of thousands of people contributing to these things. So just your plate, so many people are involved. Like this coffee that I'm drinking, like millions of people involved in this thing, man. It's not just a little cup of coffee. This is like the legacy of millions of people going into my little cup right here. And so who the frick am I to say that I made this? I didn't make this. This isn't mine. I didn't make this. I didn't even make this like phone that I'm using to film this thing. Like there's so many people involved. And so humility can, in my eyes, be reached when you understand how many people are involved. Even if you're a sole proprietor of your business, even if you operate alone, how many people are involved in operating your business? What softwares do you use? What tools do you use? Whose methods are you using for sales? Who have you learned from? What books have you read? Where are you living? Who built that apartment? Who hired the people who built the apartment? Who trained the people who built the apartment? What materials did they use? Who sourced those materials? Where, AC, air conditioning, Wi-Fi, the internet. We can go on like literally endless tangents for reasons as to why you being stuck up your own butt is a really bad decision for yourself. So that's a part of why, honestly, I feel like I've moved a little bit slower than some of my competition as well, is because I don't have much to prove. Like, I just like this, Maybe at the start I did. When I was like 17, I was dating this girl and her whole family thought I was like a bum for not wanting to go to college. And I think that definitely spurred me forward and made me realize like I really have something to prove. But after I made my first $10,000 like month, I was like, yep, I made it. I'm cool. Like, I proved it to myself and that was enough. Now I've just kept going because I enjoy it. And it's a good place to operate from, I feel like. So my next step is to kind of find a motivation bigger than me. I've heard find a why that makes you cry. I really like that. So I'm trying to figure out what that is. Because right now I just like this. I just like getting up. I like working. I like making money. I don't make any less than like $2,000 a day right now. It almost never happens, at least in revenue. Profits can be smaller than that. So I 30 to 40 grand right now, monthly. It's about where I stand. Of course, Corona knocked me. I think the Corona month, March? Last month I did like 15 grand. But obviously I was living at home. I wasn't working much. So yeah, that's just some things on how to build a life outside of business. A couple different tangents, but hopefully this helps you realize that your business can fuel a life and your life can fuel the business. And it can all kind of be one thing. Don't separate them. Choose to value the people in your business and you'll find a lot of value in that. I guarantee it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Once again, 6-figure marketing consulting program open for enrollment. I'm taking calls right now personally. So if you want to schedule one with me, worst case scenario, I just give you some free help, see if I can't help you. Obviously, don't book a call unless you have the financial means to invest in a pretty high-end program. But it is literally one of the best on the market when it comes to helping you dominate yourself, build a life, build a business. Okay, we have people that don't just roll through and, make 6 figures. They come in as one person with one state and one life, and they come out as a completely different person. And that's really what I'm doing. I'm not selling a business program, because business is, to me, it's a means to an end and also an end of itself. It kind of plays both roles. The means to an end, to me, is the personal transformation. The end of itself is the freedom that you get and the fact that business inherently is of moral good to be in, because you are forced to serve people and build a network and, all these things. So, it's more than just a business program. And I really freaking believe in this thing. So go ahead and schedule a call. And if you're qualified, I'll enroll you. If you're not, it's no hard feelings. So thanks once again for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a comment, sharing your thoughts. Follow on Instagram at Trey Cockrum. Great place to ask some questions if you have any. I personally respond to a lot of my DMs, fairly often. I'll check it like once or twice a day and respond to new DMs. I get probably 5 to 10 a day right now, which is pretty sweet. And yeah, sweet. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.